G'day, welcome to this series investigating Jesus Christ. Together we will explore the life of the most amazing person who ever lived, Jesus Christ of Nazareth. Last week we looked at the story of Jesus and the Samaritan woman from John chapter 4. This week we look in John chapter 8. A woman caught in adultery. Jesus, as all rabbis and teachers did, was at the temple teaching and talking with people. It was part of the role of the rabbi teachers to ascertain what to do in certain difficult moral, ethical, and legal situations. As part of this role, some Pharisees dragged in an unknown woman charged with adultery. Likewise, with the Samaritan woman we looked at last week, we do not know this woman's name. The Pharisees were trying to lay a trap for Jesus. If Jesus said to stone the woman, which was the punishment for adultery, then the Romans could arrest Jesus, for it was Roman law that any death must be conducted by them and not by those over whom they had dominion. If Jesus said to release the woman, then the Pharisees would say that Jesus is contravening Scripture and the law of Moses. What does Jesus do? John 8 verse 6 tells us that Jesus wrote in the dirt. We don't know what he wrote, but from this particular Greek word for write, we understand that he was seemingly writing a report. Additionally, when Jesus says in John 8 verse 7, "If any one of you is without sin, let him be the first to throw a stone at her," he is in fact saying, if any one of you is without this sin, let him be the first to throw a stone at her. Therefore, if any of the Pharisees had not committed adultery at any stage, whether in the mind or the actual physical act, then they could have stoned her. As it was, they all left her alone one by one, the oldest first. Jesus showed the Pharisees up as hypocrites, who were quick to condemn others. So maybe Jesus was also reminding them of this from Jeremiah. Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 13. O Lord, the hope of Israel, all who forsake you will be put to shame. Those who turn away from you will be written in the dust, because they have forsaken the Lord, the spring of living water. So instead of passing judgment on the woman and by eluding the trap of the Pharisees, Jesus has passed judgment on the Pharisees, judging this woman. Jesus, having forgiven the woman of her sin, then charges her to leave her life of sin. John 8 verse 11. This is to remind us that with the forgiveness of sin comes a responsibility to live a life worthy of Jesus, not to do that sin anymore, and to pursue righteousness. Over these last two podcasts and these two women, what can we say? With both of these women, Jesus showed great compassion and forgiveness. These two women were outcasts of their society, but Jesus showed them mercy and forgiveness and showed great love towards them. We read of the many people coming to faith simply because of the Samaritan woman's testimony that we looked at last week. There is no room in Christianity for actions and attitudes that defy Jesus' ever-reaching and all-encompassing forgiveness and love. His gospel, as he always shows and lives, is for all people everywhere, regardless of gender, race, age, culture, or social status. That's it for this week. Next week, we continue looking at who Jesus said that he was. And come back every day to Partakers Podcasts to learn more about how you can live as a disciple of Jesus Christ in the 21st century. See you later.